It's easy to become fearful, it's easy to lose hope, it's easy to get lost. As long as it's easy, that's not the training. I do the training to get started until it gets hard, and then it matters.
How can we physically prime ourselves for mind, body, spirit?
Seeing your weakness, finding a way how to improve it, improving it. This is the essence of Shaolin. Uplift yourself, and based on this uplifting, you help others to cultivate the same state of being.
Welcome back to the Mulligan Brothers, where today I sit down with a Shaolin master and we talk about the warrior monks, training and physical feats that will absolutely blow your mind. Today I sit down with Master Shi Heng Yi of the Shaolin Temple Europe. Today's episode, as always, was powered by HUEL. If you want to find out more about HUEL, go to the link in the description and check the pinned top comment for exclusive offers and codes. Let's dive into this amazing episode with my good friend, Master Shi Heng Yi.
Just for people who don't know, just introduce yourself and what you do.
So my name is Shi Heng Yi. I'm the leading headmaster of the Shaolin Temple Europe. And I've spent this year 36 years along the way of using the Chinese martial art called Kung Fu. It has always been a part of my life. And while growing up and practicing for myself, I just realized that the mental states that you are going through when you are practicing all of these arts, I think these are universal characteristics of everything that a human, let's say, possesses. Every human has these character traits. The only question is if you know about them and if you are able also to cultivate them. And in the moment where you start really investing your time to look inside yourself, meaning take the time and figure out, first of all, who are you really? What is it that making you, you? Not just based on a superficial level, meaning what have you studied, what is your job, what is your profession, what is your title, none of that. Meaning, what are the values that you are keeping inside of yourself? Okay, so, and I just realized that the martial art is one way out of probably many others existing, but I can only talk about the martial art. And it helped me to ask the right questions concerning myself, finding my weaknesses, trying to get to methods in order to, let's say, strengthen my mind, strengthen my body. And all of this, putting it together, I just think it's useful for the people to know that something like this type of perspective about yourself, the perspective that you can use the body to get deeper into the layers of what also is making you, you. I think this is very, very valuable information, especially just regarding the fact that if you look out in the world right now, it's easy to get dissatisfied. It's easy to get frightened. It's easy to become fearful. It's easy to lose hope. It's easy to lose perspective. It's easy to get lost. And this is why I think, and this is why I still continue even after all the hype on the social media. I still decide the haters can come, it's not a problem. But I know there are people out there that get the message I'm sending out. And this is very simple. We are at the moment in a cycle of life where everybody, if you're just a little bit aware, you can feel something is shifting. Some people are not willing to maybe adapt to the change. Some people are not strong enough to adapt to the change. Some people don't know how to put it into practice in order to go with the change. It is my perspective. There will come the time, and it's not going to take long, where a natural separation is going to take place, a natural separation. The ones that are able to read the signs, that are able to go with what is happening, to adapt to the changes this world is bringing to us, they will move on to another world. They will move on to another area, to another cycle of us humans being right now here on the earth. And other people that are unwilling, unable, maybe incapable of adapting to the coming changes. It is simple like this. They will stay with the old world, which is about to end. That's the message. That's all what this is about.
So I wanted to have a conversation similar to what we've spoken about over the past couple of days about applying the stuff that you guys do with the Shaolin teachings, the physical methods that you use, and how people can apply them into their day-to-day lives, but also some of the importance and maybe some of the history of it as well. Just this morning, you know, we saw some of your training, and you gave us a small insight to what that is, and it included hardening the bones and the body, and then it was into physical fighting that we would see from like MMA fighters. And I guess sometimes when you see from the outside Shaolin, even loads of different martial arts, from karate to whatever it is, sometimes it doesn't feel like it's practical. And I feel like what some of the conversations we've spoken about is about drawing that back in. And I think maybe it's a held belief for yourself that that's something you want to do, that you want to be able to have that sort of practical element of it and apply it into our lives. And I just basically love to hear some of your thoughts on it. And then I guess we can break it down into the disciplines, the courage, the compassion, all that kind of stuff.
For example, this morning, you saw, first of all, one of my very, very close friends. Actually, he's like my brother. He's like my younger brother. We grew up together in the city over here, but then he had some things to do in another city. I had my studies, for example, going on. So in between, our paths sometimes just separated. But nevertheless, if I look on a wider scale, I can see he's my brother. I can feel he's my brother. At the same time, when he grew up very young, he already started being interested, first of all, on the martial arts, and second of all, also his interest is into dancing. Okay, so me at the same time, I also showed you this morning, I'm interested into sometimes technical aspects, meaning I started earning my first money actually by being a bicycle courier, driving out sandwiches that people ordered here in that city. This is like the first money that somehow I started earning. And parallel to all of this, I also had the interest in the martial arts. So in the first place, without now talking about this monastery, Xiao Shen and myself, we are simply martial art enthusiasts. We just like this training, which also goes hand in hand with the fact when we were still, let's say, younger than right now, we also like to compete, of course. When you're young, when the testosterone is still quite high, when you're still a little bit unsure about yourself, of course, you want to use the martial art, in our case, and actually battle yourself with other people. So that also means that in very young ages already, it started. Don't understand it wrong. It's not we were looking for conflict, but we understood that going consciously into conflict at the same time carries the possibility that you are learning something about yourself. And it also reveals at the same time if you are lying to yourself If you think about yourself, you're better than you at the end actually are. So that means conflicts, once they arise, it just starts to bring out that, it brings out part of the truth. Let's say it like this. Okay? So then, those two of us, me for example also, growing up in that city, then we had the chance that this monastery on the one side was founded, getting also in contact with the Shaolin Temple in China. And it's in a way for enthusiasts like us, nothing better could have happened. So having the chance right now to, on a daily basis, just follow up on your own passion that we have anyway, and then even having this possibility that people are interested to more or less know about what are you practicing, why are you practicing it, and what's the benefit of it. So, and this is how over time, throughout all different channels, let's say, and throughout working hard, staying with it, people started talking about us, people started seeing more about us. So this is why everything evolved in the way until we know, or we have what nowadays is called the Shaolin Temple Europe. Okay? So this place right now is run by many, it's not just Xiao Shen and myself, we have more teachers inside of here, sharing the same passion, sharing the same background, meaning this martial way of thinking, this physicality being integrated into already your upbringing. This is what all of us inside this Shaolin Temple Europe is connecting us. So, and we have people that are, let's say, specialized in certain areas. We have people with a bigger overview, but at the same time, everybody somehow has his place inside this community. And just throughout time, when many people come together, everyone with a very specific skill set, everybody different from us, different childhood, different education, sometimes different style, meanwhile, what we are specializing in. Different visions, different feelings, different emotions, everything different. But one thing the same. The realization that our lifetime is not just about us. And that it gives a really good feeling, or sometimes also a nice purpose, knowing that we're going to go together as a bond, as a band of brothers, to have a brotherhood. And together in this brotherhood create something that is benefiting more than just the individuals inside of it. Yes, and yeah, this now just like the short story about what happened this morning, how come that we are actually living together like this. So, and now, just a few years back, I was also staying right here outside in the monastery all the time. But as I also said, meanwhile, we have so many guests coming, which made it necessary for me to actually leave out to a separate apartment, leaving more space for the participants to come here. The circumstances have changed for me. The surroundings, the environment, let's say, has changed for me. What cannot leave me are the principles that have always followed my life. So, and just looking, I mean, I don't consider myself old, but all of us inside of here, this whole community, we are all young guys, young people. Of course, we enjoy going out, listening to music, talking to other people, just socializing. Of course, this is something which is also interesting and attractive to us. Of course, sometimes when we are being invited, because I grow up here, I know the city, I know the people. So that means it's natural that I also have friends outside of the monastery. But at the same time, I know. Why? Because I felt it before. I know that when I go out in the evening and I do not discipline myself, I let myself go too much with whatever flow there is, or with the dynamic of the group, or with the flow of the evening. It's not that it's bad. I'm not thinking in terms of bad. I'm thinking in terms of consequence. And that means if someone's getting drunk in the evening, if I get drunk in the evening, which happened, I don't feel well the next day. I don't feel clear the next day. My decisions are not the best the next day. But meanwhile, everything has become so, let's say, so big also on the one side. People also depending a little bit based on the actions that I'm taking, that I just decide I cannot take decisions and I don't want to take decisions, knowing that the reach of these decisions is going to affect everyone. I don't want to take a wrong decision because I'm not clear in the mind. So just based only on this fact, for example, I can go out, but I don't drink. If I know I have some obligation the next day, I set up all the previous days before in order to be ready for the day to come. Okay? So, and that means very clear that if I have put something upon my mind, which for me has a priority, which for me is nothing anymore to discuss about, then all the actions now that I'm doing, I just always compare, does this action, is it compatible to what I actually, or where I want to go? And that also means that you need to, of course, discipline yourself regardless of how inside you feel. Because, of course, just like every human, when you are out and there are many friends of yours and everybody's laughing and the mood is good and the group dynamic is good and the energy is up, and then they invite you, why don't you just stay a little bit longer? It's just 4 o'clock, stay until 6. Yeah, and I know next day I have to go out. Of course, there is a side of myself having this wish, this feeling, oh, okay, come on, let's go on, let's go on. But I can't. I would if I could, but I can't. Why? Because I have another priority. Because somewhere I'm saying, okay, it was a nice evening until right now, all is good. For me, I'm really happy already that I spent this time with all of you, but I need to get back to mission. And this is the point where discipline for me, for example, comes in, that despite the fact of your internal world, your emotions, your feelings, maybe tell you something else, yeah, but discipline is for me that it's not listening in that case now necessary to your feelings, but to call out again what was your priority that you have set to yourself while you still had a clear mind. Okay, so, and this I keep. So, discipline on the one side, meaning you are keeping your commitment. You are keeping your commitment, so that means it is something about actively doing, let's say, you are actively, consciously keeping your goal. But discipline at the same time also means you're leaving away the stuff that you know is gonna block you along the way. So discipline in that sense is not just a one-way street. It's about what you want, this is what you do, and what you know is not good for you, you leave it. So we have an active part, a passive part, yeah? This is where it comes to discipline. Now, next thing is, once I wake up in the morning, after then having a short 5-minute, 10-minute, just like sitting calm, sitting still. So when I come into my office, you maybe saw there is one meditation pillow on the carpet. I just sit down, close my eyes, put my hands into the center, focus on the breathing, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes just like arrive. Meaning, because when I'm sitting, there is no physical activity going on. So, which means you are not moving in a way. The eyes can also be shut. For me, the advantage of doing these things, what is nowadays maybe known as meditative practices, is that you have consciously actually shut down the senses of the body. So once the senses of the body, your inside world with the outside world, is in a way not connected anymore, or there are no disturbances, that means you can be very intimate with the world of your thoughts. You actually literally see the thoughts coming and also realize if you keep a thought, if a thought is more easy to let go, if other thoughts come, despite the fact you want to let them go, they still try to stay. You realize such subtleties about your mind. So, and the reason why I sit sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, is just in order to make it blank. Just to blank it out. Until for myself, I feel like, okay, now it's just, I'm completely in, it feels like you're constantly in observation mode. You're just observing. You are not an actor inside of there anymore. If you catch a thought, this is what I would regard as now you're becoming an actor. You're starting now to play your movie. But being in observation mode, you don't really care what type of movie is now gonna happen. You're just observing. So this is the state where I wait until this hits in. So, and afterwards, have my first cup of tea just to start warming up the organs. And then just heading upwards. And in case Xiao Shen is awake, then we train together. If he's not there, I train alone. Yeah. Because this type of training is now another, let's say it's another chapter within the day where actually I am priming and I'm conditioning myself to, let's say, to strengthen certain principles that I know will help me afterwards throughout the rest of the day. Which is like, don't give up. Just like as an example. I don't know what type of email is going to come in. I don't know how many appointments I'm still going to have, let's say, on that day. The point is like this. Once I have an appointment, once I have something on my schedule, there is no way for me to give up and not appear there. So, and similar like this, I'm already saying to myself, this morning training is now like the small preparation. Because what I'm doing is all the time, you start slowly, of course, to warm yourself up, but then you push yourself. You push yourself to that point where you feel that thought is coming back, it's time to rest. And when the mind says it's time to rest, that's the point to keep going. That is that threshold which is going to make the difference afterwards. So discovering your limits on the one side is the first thing. Discovering it is the first step. Because discovering your limits means you have a vision about what you can do, and at the same time the limit is showing you what you cannot do at the moment. We're still in the field of martial arts, of course, right now. Okay? But so using this training in the morning is not just about the physicality and the fact of that we are training martial art movements. In the first place, it is also to condition myself to a certain vibe that I'm carrying throughout this life. And what is that vibe? That vibe is, I don't know what this life is going to bring, but there is no alternative. Then when the challenge comes, when life is getting hard, there is no alternative for me than to just keep going. But from where can I pull the strength? From where do I have this energy in order to move, to keep going when already you feel exhausted, when it's already hard? Well, it's because I do it every day already for 1 hour. Exactly the same thing happening, but using my body in that sense. Conditioning my body, bringing my body to the limit, and then by doing so, cultivating the mindset. And now, what type of exercises or methods or content now we are using for ourselves? Let's say, you see, we have the big bag, and we have all the hardening materials. So everything that you see in this room, at the end, it is the tools that after spending more than 30 years along the way of martial arts, I have personally decided for myself, this is the basics that I think for me is already, let's say, good. Meaning, martial art training without having a bag, something's missing. Martial art training without conditioning your body, something is missing. Martial art training without walking your forms, something is missing. So, because I have seen many different martial art styles, because I have met many different masters, teachers in the field of martial arts, that's why I can, of course, coming from the past, in a way compare myself to others. Sensing, feeling, seeing, what do other martial artists have and what maybe I have. And then I'm a little bit stuck maybe on old movies or anything like this, but it's really similar, like with all the Marvel movies. It's like everybody has special skills. The question for you is, this life is so unique, what type of special skill set, so more skills together, would you like to incorporate into your life? It's not that everybody needs to be able to do the same things. Of course, there's a fundamental basis, but ultimately it is also the martial art training, the Kung Fu. It's an expression of your very individual, personalized life. And this is why I use the tools that I use. I do the training as I do the training. Because I have a vision about what type of martial artist, what type of personality, or let's say like this, I would like to be in when it comes to the martial arts. Okay? So, is this the only way to do the training? Of course not, like I just said before. So now I might be jumping a little bit, but if people, for example, nowadays, all the time we talk about the Shaolin teachings, the Shaolin arts. If you look right now out in the world, just recently this year, you could see that a huge delegation from the Shaolin Temple China was traveling throughout the whole world. Yeah, North America, South America, Europe, Australia. And what is the goal, let's say, in a way? It is to spread also this type of knowledge, to spread this type of idea that physicality, physical movement, martial arts merge together with certain theoretical guidelines is something that can be useful for the majority of this world Therefore, you find, meanwhile, there are Shaolin temples, you find Shaolin cultural centers, you find all types of different events in order to get to know more about what is this Shaolin culture about. So, and along this way, what it means is that meanwhile you find over our globe a complete network of locations looking similar like a small martial forest. A martial forest made out of different smaller centers that are covering our earth. And if you are interested to get to know more about the Shaolin arts, these are the places for you to go. If you have never heard about this type of lifestyle, this type of way before, this is the place to go. As an introduction, there's nothing wrong in just doing so. But there simply is at the same time also a difference. And I think in our very, very first conversations, I have mentioned this already. The more easy reachable it becomes for the masses, it is my perspective, the less deep it can go. Because the teaching, in order to be easily understood, in order to be easily accepted, must be held on such an easy level, on such a basic level, that somebody who has nothing to do with it yet also finds it appealing to actually try out. So the entrance is easy. But what I'm telling you is, or what my personal training is, it's not easy. My emphasis, why I do the training is, as long as it's easy, that's not the training. I do the training to get started until it gets hard, and then it matters. This is my philosophy about why I'm using the martial arts. Yeah? And so that means to continuously push yourself. And this is not about right or wrong, or even sometimes the discussions nowadays, this is not real Shaolin and this is Shaolin. Everybody has access to the social medias, everybody has access to the internet now. I don't care what people think. You have your possibility of just do your research, but please do it properly. And afterwards, you can really decide for yourself. If you are not resonating with what I am saying, no need to follow me. No need to listen to me, nothing of this. Okay? The reason why I'm sharing this is because if people will ask the right question, they're gonna get the right answer. Okay? I'm really tired also a little bit of this constant discussions. Real, not real, certification, not certification. Okay, who wants to follow, follows, and who doesn't, doesn't. Okay, meanwhile, there is so much material out, people can see what is it that we are teaching here, who are the people that are teaching here, what is the background of the people that are teaching here, and then just build up your own reality is absolutely fine. But continuously poisoning first of all yourself by causing disbalance inside of your mind, and also poisoning like communities. We have enough poison and conflicts going on already. Is not necessary. So therefore, live and let live, and everybody just like focus on their own personal development. Yeah, this is going to be the last and final thing to talk about this type of topic in case somebody wants to know. Yeah, so. Yeah, then afterwards, after finishing my morning routine, meaning also like with Shen together, I don't know, the next thing that happens is after you have completely sweated, you know you have done the work, maybe there is like a sense of pride. A sense of pride that, okay, I mean, the day has just begun. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. The whole day is still in front of you, but you have already achieved something. You have already, in the first hours, challenged yourself, pushed yourself. At the end, actually did something good for the body because of the movement, did something good for, let's say, your breathing apparatus because you learned to regulate the breath, did something good for the flexibility of the body, did something good in order to increase the strength that you have. It's good. For me, this is a good start in the day. So, and then afterwards, normally I just take a shower, go then down into the office again, prepare maybe another cup of tea or sometimes also a cup of coffee. And then I have like 1 hour, 2 hours sometimes, I do the office work. Yeah. So, and also there, I have limited the time that I'm spending in front of the screen. Like I said, 1 hour, 2 hour maximum in that morning. Maximum. What I cannot answer in those 2 hours, I have scheduled it at a later point in time. So meaning the first thing that when I look at the inbox is I'm just flying over everything and looking for myself which one has a priority. Which one has a priority that in the best case I can answer right away now in the morning. And so this is what I do. All the other ones where I feel like there is no time pressure, yeah, I move it to another time. Yeah. So, and this is how very structured I have the way how I wake up, how I make my training, how I do the office work, okay? Because then latest around 11 o'clock, normally I then also drive out here to the temple, either having private lessons if there are private students, or also just like talking to people here about how are things going, okay? Because meanwhile, this community has grown so much that it was necessary, and I also regarded it as being the right thing to do, in or also like to start delegating some type of work related to this monastery to my students, to people that have been here for a long time, because this is exactly the thing. For many, many years, all of this has been like, it's like you would say it has been my child. And so what is the hardest thing? It is to invest your love, invest your time, invest everything, go through all the pain to make that child grow and develop. But then you can see already, you can sense it, the time has come that it's not possible somehow anymore for you to still remain on the side of the child. Okay? And it's really hard because you have built up such a strong relationship to all of this. And now it's time to let go. Understand? So even that is difficult for me. But then I actually went really inside and asked myself, but why is it that, what is it I'm afraid of about this child? The only thing I want is that this child continuously starts to grow, and actually that the child is always well off, that the child is being taken care of. Okay? And now I have to jump a little bit, but you see, this is how it's for me all connected. Sometimes I had the thought already, now I'm building up this race bike, okay, which took me 5 years. And sometimes I have these thoughts like, okay, What happens one day when, like, I'm gone? Where will this bike end up? Yeah, am I going to give it to a museum? Or who is going to take care of that bike in the way how I did it? And there I came to the conclusion, most probably no one. No one is going to adopt this child and will take care of that child in the way how I did it. Why not? Because now in regards to the bike, there is nobody else around who was involved in the process of building up that bike. This is why nobody has that type of relationship and connection to the bike. Now I jump back to the temple. I want this temple to survive. I want this organization to go on. I want that somebody is taking care of this place just like their child. How to do it? They must be integrated in the process already of bringing up that child. And that was the point where I said, it's time to delegate. It's time to let other people also start to understand the sufferings of the child, the problems of the child, and then let them figure out by themselves how to know which medicine is it you need to give. And I slowly just took myself out a little bit, just overseeing. Just making sure it's your responsibility, everything right now. Just in case something goes very wrong, I'm there. Then you can come. If it's all okay, I will just watch it. Okay? So this is the process which has been going on right now, more or less, yeah, let's say since 1 year, 2 years ago it slightly started, but since the last time that we saw each other, this is like the process which is going on here. Okay? So I started taking myself out, feeling that it's time for a new, something old, an old era is about to come to an end. A new era is about to come. This is worldwide happening. It's happening inside our monastery. It's happening inside of me. Yes. Yeah, so where I got stuck now, where have we been? Yeah, 11 o'clock, coming out and asking the people if everything is okay. And then normally the schedule of the monastery just starts to take place, which means if we are having guests over here, then in the afternoon, sometimes I have training, okay? And then I mostly stay until around 6 o'clock, sometimes 7 o'clock in the evening, drive home to visit, for example, also the abbot of our monastery and having conversations with him, exchanging ideas, what might be like the next steps. And then already the evening has come and the next training is happening. Yeah. And then just the day repeats again.
I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. Today's video was powered by HUEL. I'm drinking their HUEL Black Edition. It has 26 vitamins and minerals, over 35 grams of protein, and slow release carbs. So when I'm on shoot, this is what I reach into my bag and grab to make sure that I am satiated, I'm getting all my vitamins, and I'm hitting my protein requirements for the day. HUEL has been an absolute game changer in my life to be able to work in a busy environment. As you guys know, I'm a very busy person, but also break the world record Atlas Stone and attempt to break the world's heaviest marathon that I'll be doing in July. But don't just take my word for it. There are other athletes out there like the world's hardest geezer who ran the whole length of Africa, and he consumed HUEL on the journey down all the way through Africa. So if you want to find out more, head to the link in the description where you can find exclusive offers with the link and the pinned top comment. Thank you guys for watching. Let's dive back into the episode.
there's a few points I've written down off that, and one of the ones that really, for what we do, when you said brotherhood, and I don't just mean the fact that it's brothers, you know, my sister's here as well, we've got a great team at home, but it is very much a brotherhood. And for me, when you use the word brotherhood, it's about a mission for good. It's about, you know, everyone's on the same mission for good. And I wonder how the physical training, the concept that we spoke about yesterday as well, the demon hand as well, how does that play into a brotherhood? Like, if you are all on the same mission, that's fantastic. And then what kind of mentality do you have to have together to make those missions and those ambitions come true?
I mean, just by really taking that word brotherhood and looking at the core of what that word means, you have the brother, or let's say the sister. So you literally just look into the relationship that you have to your brothers or to your sisters. First of all, they are not you. They have their ideas, they have their ideals. Second thing you realize is there is no brotherhood, there is no sisterhood where you always get along with your brother. Okay? So I really think that growing up together with other brothers or sisters, also in very early ages, is confronting you with something very important. With the message, it's not necessary for you to always be right. This is the first thing. It's not necessary that your brothers or sisters share the same ideas as you. So it starts very early that you are inside a smaller family and actually try to figure out what type of a construct, what type of community, what type of rule set would make sense in order for everybody inside of that family being able, on the one side, to freely express themselves without harming the others. That is the one side. So there is something about how can everybody be an individual strength without sacrificing or without harming or affecting the others. And at the same time, once one of your brothers or sisters is at a certain point in life where they need support, how quickly can you sense it? It's like another thing, okay? So because the outside, the way how somebody looks, the way what somebody talks, it's not an appropriate indication of what's going on, okay? We are living so much in a world right now, on the outside, things are easily faked, and the fake anyway belongs to this world. It's one and one, okay? But what you cannot fake is energy. What you cannot fake is the sensing when you sit across one person and just try to sense it. And I think this type of, you can sense when somebody close to you is not well, okay? So these are like things. Now, I was talking all the time about real brother, real sister, but sometimes you meet people in your life, they are brothers from another mother, okay? But when you're sitting with them, you can still sense that there is a connection. There is a connection between that other person and yourself, that sister and yourself. Some people refer to maybe it's your soul brother, maybe it's your soul sister, but there is some type of connection. And this is also like for me, you know, it doesn't matter what is written on the paper sometimes, what you are, that you are like officially married, let's say like this. Officially married, but inside no connection, pointless. That's why I've also never been a friend of any type of paperwork. Either it's inside or it's not inside. Either you sense it or you don't sense it. Either you have the spirit or you cultivate it if you want to have it. Okay? This type of energy just doesn't lie. So, and just like now talking about all of these pictures, when I train together with my brothers, I can feel when their weakness comes. I can feel when they are about to give up. And vice versa. And we all feel it about ourselves. And this is now the point where sometimes people know what to do. But it's still better to sometimes be reminded by someone, or even being able to witness someone going through the same suffering right now, knowing we all suffer, but at least I don't suffer alone. And he managed to do it, I will manage to do it. So it is sometimes just by observing the actions. Nobody needs to tell you, keep going, keep going. No, sometimes it's enough to just watch somebody, see the suffering, but at the same time also see, but he still keeps on going. So this is then suddenly opening up also your ability to have that own trust and hope is possible. And so it just opens the mind. And if many people on a constant basis are confronted with these things and doing this type of training, then this group dynamic is simply a really strong one. Yeah, and now this all also doesn't just apply to the field of martial arts. Like I said, there are many individuals who have their own things going on. So maybe the suffering doesn't come from the field of martial arts. Maybe the suffering comes from something else that happened in their private life. But same story here. Why do you sense a person? Because you have a connection. And so it's out of question for me, does the suffering come because you're doing the martial art, or does the suffering come because you have problems in your relationship? It doesn't matter. I can feel he's not feeling well, she's not feeling well, something must be done. And if I can do something, I do it. Yeah? The closer, the deeper, the more intimate, the stronger the connection is, the feeling is that you have towards another person, then something very, very naturally, as a consequence, will arise. And that one is called compassion. Okay? With a close circle, it's easy to sense it. Yeah, if they are from your flesh and blood, chances are high it's naturally already existing. But it's also possible with, let's say, like in our place, as a community, a brother and sisterhood from different families. Even there, it's possible to create it. And the goal, jumping now really, really back into Buddhist teachings, is that this type of internal this type of perspective, if you can help, you help. Why? Because you can sense the suffering of the other people. This is what we refer to as being compassionate, or learning to cultivate this type of belongingness. So actively training yourself towards the direction of belongingness. Okay? Because if there's no connection, there can't be compassion. Very simple. Compassion is the natural consequence of very deep connection. Why? Because you are regarding the other person as part of your existence and life. So there is no alternative than just trying continuously the best to pull, either we grow together or nobody grows.
I love that. I completely agree. I mean, we've been working together now for 10 years, I think, is that right? Close to 10 years, and I don't, the growth we've had together, especially because, like you say, you don't always agree. You don't always move forward at the right pace. He's got my back on certain things. I've got his back on certain things. And yeah, I love that. And the idea of being on the same mission, the same path, and you know, having compassion for each other in those moments as well has been amazing. But it is great to see, like here, when we come to the Shaolin Temple, you have a huge community of people here within that brotherhood. And yeah, it's really inspiring. We always love coming back here to see it as well. When you said there was a quote you mentioned there, which was, it only starts for me when it gets hard. And it reminded me of a Muhammad Ali quote. I think it was Muhammad Ali. Someone said to him, how many sit-ups do you do? Or, yeah, how many sit-ups did you do? I think he says, I don't know. I only start counting when it starts to get hard. Is that Muhammad Ali? Yeah. It was Muhammad Ali. And so, you know, your quote was very similar to that. And I don't think that's a very familiar concept for a lot of people. The hard is the bit that's avoided for most people. Why is it that you're seeking discomfort, I guess?
Yeah. So taking, for example, now really, I'm taking all the philosophical talkings out. Why do you train martial arts? Because you want to develop your body and your mind. In comparison to other people, you want to become over average. Average is not enough. There is something as a martial artist that you want to optimize about yourself. Something is supposed to be better in comparison to other people. This better can mean you can hit harder, you can take more pain, you can lift your leg up higher than the average person, you can have more kicks within a certain period of time. So flexibility is over average, strength is over average, hardness of your body is over average, body coordination is over average, ability to focus is over average, ability to connect your body is over average. So there is something about you want more performance out of your body. This is martial arts.
I want to pick some of these subjects up later when we do a podcast, because there's people who have inspired me massively in popular culture and in sports. That, like, this mindset that you're talking about right now, really, I've heard it from them too, and it's really interesting to hear you. But I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on it. Like people like Kobe Bryant. I don't know if you're a fan of basketball.
Basketball player, yes.
But his mentality, the way in which you're speaking right now, like sings to that mentality massively. Muhammad Ali, we just said as well. So maybe we could pick it up later. But I do find it fascinating that it's in your training room. And the fact that, you know, you excel in this, whether it's on social media or whatever it is, or in the philosophy, you excel in my opinion, on a level that I've not seen before. And, you know, that's not to sing to your praises or anything like that. It's just to say, like, you obviously have that mentality to put all that work in. Yeah, maybe it's something we can explore later as well. I get, this is something I want to explore later as well, a little bit more casually, but I'm interested within this conversation, when you talk about the fire inside, you know, you sit here very calm, and then we've seen some of the stuff you can do in the gym and in practice, and growing up, before you found the philosophies and, when you started doing the training, did that ever become an issue, having that fire inside? Was it always contained under this philosophy?
I think I ended with that word performance, yeah? Let me just jump back. If you want to have 2 cars or 2 bikes, and you want one of them to be faster, what you essentially want is, one is supposed to be more performing than the other one. What do? You need an engine with more performance. How do you literally, what are the ways, for example, with an engine to increase the performance? Air intake. Air intake, why? More oxygen, more fire, more combustion. Same like with an oven. Right now, the bigger the house becomes, the more the oven needs to work, the more heat it needs to generate. How you do it, besides the fact of adding more wood? You need more air. We need more capacity. What do I do when I want to start increasing the performance level of myself? Number 1, for example, eat more, but I need to have better capacity and better refined breathing mechanisms. And this is where it simply comes into the practices that are, for example, known as Qigong. Some people nowadays say Qigong, energy practice. Yes, it's correct, but sometimes you get lost with your energy. I don't know which type of energy. So breathing. Okay, for me, Qigong is simply the part of increasing the capacity of your lungs, which means once you inhale, you try to inhale as much as you can. This is the first level. And the second level is increasing your ability in adjusting also the oxygen, the air level inside of you. And now, when you maybe watch later in the moment where we are doing our training, the more I start to sweat, the more different my breath has become. Very naturally. When you start running, why suddenly the body naturally wants to draw in more air? Because you are asking something from your body, performance, and in order for your body to deliver it, he needs fire now to burn. So this is the moment where also the air, the inhalation, the exhalation starts to increase. And because it's getting tiring, so you're getting tired, what is it essentially that keeps the fire going? So, and this is now the special thing. Either you have an iron will, then you just then the amount of fire that you can produce is super high. If you by yourself have an iron will, then you can just keep going like a machine. Okay? If you don't have an iron will, you need something that is giving you, that is like substituting, for example, this iron will. I have things that give me iron will. For me, it's vision. I have vision for something greater. Yeah, or you might say, it's hope. Or it can also be, you can think about a person. Sometimes you meet a person, you just need to call them up in the mind, they give you fire. You know? So this is the way. What keeps the fire going? What keeps you yourself, what is it that keeps you, make you push on harder? Trust, hope, vision, purpose. You know? And this is where then things come together. And this is the type of fire where I say, when you know about these things, even angriness, suffering, loneliness, feeling used, feeling betrayed. All of these things create fire. The question is now, in which direction are you allowing this fire to develop? To burn you on the inside? Or are you able to channel, but it's exactly the same type of fire, to channel it and use it for something that is not eating you, to do it in order for you to grow, in order for you to keep going. So, and in the past, 100%, a great source of my fire has been frustration, anger, loneliness. This was my inspiration of the fire. That's why many times I've spent alone. Doing what? Training. And this is the reason, maybe, why today things just look different. Things have not always been in harmony. Yeah? The question is, how good are you able to regulate the fire inside of you?
Thank you for sharing that. Like, I think that's absolutely incredible to have that insight. The battle of channeling that energy, that fire energy. Is there a reason or a difference between using like the energy of like love and it coming from that fire coming from a positive place, like you say, you think of somebody, or it coming from a place of like hurt and revenge? Is there a distinction? Is it a better energy to use?
If you draw your force, if you draw your motivation, if you draw the fire from love, let's say like this. For me, when I think about this word, it's an expanding force. So love by nature, it's an energy which anyway it's expanding beyond yourself. Yeah, which means it's automatically embracing more. So embracing more, meaning it's easier, the energy is there which makes it easier to bring something new into your life. This is how I see it. That is like the energy. And when you combine this now with your training, literally means if you have this type of energy, it becomes easier to bring something new into your life. Now the problem with anger is, or with hate, or this other type of energy is that the nature of this energy, it's not to integrate someone, to integrate something. The nature of that force is, now you're going to fight against the world. Now you're going to mess up everything. Now it's like you are the hurt one, and now you're going to show them all. This is the nature of the anger energy. Yeah, it is the energy that makes you like, okay, that mountain won't move, I'm going to make it move. It's this type. Okay, so, and what means, it gives you energy, but the energy, if you just use it without disciplining yourself, without properly thinking about it, what you are going to create is separation. You will have the power to do it, but what the consequence is going to be, you're going to separate something. So, and there it is the hard part. How do you transform now this anger, which carries a huge potential, but still transform it in such a way that it becomes an expansive and integrating force? And there's only one thing that can help with this: the connection, the compassion. Seriously, this is the only thing. That's why you have brotherhoods. That's why you have sisterhoods.
The moments where you know, for yourself where it was difficult, and you know, you've, like you say, you've had to walk that path on your own. What was the journey back to away from the fire energy back to the love and expansive energy? What was that journey like?
You know, sometimes it's good to have. There is good to have like the Buddhist teachings, you know, as a place of when you are out of question or when you don't know what to do anymore. There it's good to have the old teachings from the old teachers, you know, to remind you a little bit. You read more about compassion and these things. So that means this is where I think, and also mentioned before, the force is the same. The power is the same. The methods, how to create fire, you know, increasing your breathing rhythm, the capacity, regulating, for example, the methods are the same. So the energy is available. But the big difference is, what is the foundation in which this fire is being used? And if the foundation is not based on virtues, is not based on value, then the same force, the same energy is getting into a dark direction. It's getting into a destructive direction. You're going to meet Lord Vader, this one. The force is the same. The values, the principles are different. Okay? And this is why I think it is such an important aspect that within this field where we are finding ourselves, you need virtues. You need a guideline. And optimally based on compassion. Because that's the breaker for everything. Without that one, you know, because it's either it's compassion or you are separated individual. Separated individual has a very high sense of self, I don't know how I would say, of self-centeredness. And self-centeredness is what is causing problems in this world. The sense of belongingness is not the root for causing conflicts. It's this one.
I wish that was a message that the whole world could hear. That's fantastic.
You're going to make the world hear it.
I hope so. I hope so. How can we, as people who are not practicing Shaolin, how can we physically prime ourselves for mind, body, spirit, for, you know, an entrepreneur, a businessman, you know, your mum of 2 kids? How can we physically prime in a similar way to you that would help lead in a normal day-to-day life?
Forget about words. Forget about Shaolin. Forget about any specific style or teaching or anything like this. Look at yourself. Look at your own life right now. Put it, if you like, on paper. What is it which type of areas do you see about your life right now, which can mean this is my professional life, this is my private life, for example. Just really make very clear. If somebody would ask you, okay, write me down on some pages, how does your life look right now? And you try to, as detailed as possible, put it on paper. So what's happening is, you're already starting actually to dive deeper, asking about how does my life look? What is your life consisting of? So you have it right in front of you. And all the aspects that you have written down there, the deeper you go, the more time you spend with it, the more you can even go into detail with all of this. Yeah. Also meaning, for example, now in regards to the body, your work, your wife, your family, your hobby, whatever, it's all only possible because you have your body. So just very naturally, it arises that Job is not priority. Family is not priority. Hobby is not priority. Money is not priority. Nothing is priority, because all of that becomes unimportant in the moment you are not there. So now we are with us, always and always again. And now you draw out, who are you? Who are you? My values, my physical body, my state of the mind, my emotional world, my whatever it is. And so we are having these 5 areas already. And each of these 5 areas, again, my mental state. Your mental state, 24 hours. Write it down. What is it? Your mind is flying around. What are your topics? What are your mental topics? Your emotions. How many different states of identifiable emotional states can you sense during a 24-hour day? So again there, yeah, suddenly it gets deeper. Then you can say, for example, your emotional states. Why is it that from in the morning you were in that state, and what happened suddenly that in the afternoon you were suddenly in a different state? So what slowly starts to come is that you are starting to see connections. The connection of your thinking patterns, your emotional states, your lifestyle when it comes in terms of diet. At what time do you eat? What do you eat? At what time do you go to bed? How much time do you spend in the sun? Whatever it is. So what happens is you are starting to see your life. And based on this view now, if you say, okay, I realized mentally I'm jumping too much. I can't focus. It's your own realization because you have just done this experiment. So you see, my mind is jumping around too much. So, and now, 21st century, there are plenty of methods created for the human being in order to calm the mind. Doesn't matter if it comes from Shaolin, if it comes from whatever. There are plenty of methods to now improve this weakness. Okay? So, and the same is like all the other things. You feel like you have a weak lower body. So what you are looking for is, I want to have methods in order to strengthen my lower body. There are plenty of ways how to do this in this world, and it doesn't even necessarily come from Shaolin. So what you need to do is, you need to see yourself, you need to find your weakness, and then you need to have the courage in order to figure out new ways, entering into new territory, making the phone call or writing the email, and visit somebody who has the tools that can uplift now and increase that weakness of yours. And this is then where you are, just like a puzzle, bring things slowly together. And this complete attitude, this attitude of doing so, seeing your weakness, finding a way how to improve it, improving it, this is the core, this is the essence of Shaolin. It doesn't matter if you make beautiful movements or not. For me, this is not Shaolin. Very clearly. I don't care if somebody makes a movement that they see in the movie, which looks like, I don't know. This is not Shaolin for me. It is the essence inside that you figure out for yourself, uplift yourself, and based on this uplifting, based on compassion, you help others to cultivate the same state of being. That is it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, excited for the future as always. And I'm excited to get this message out to everybody. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jordan.